Welcome back to another episode of XCOM 2 Overwatch. XCOM 2 is almost here. It will be officially released on February 5th, 2016. If all goes well on Friday, I'm hoping to release 2 XCOM 2 videos that day. The first one where I will do a simple showcase of the customization options that will be available, and the other video as the first official episode for my XCOM 2 Let's Play. With that said, this will be the final episode for XCOM 2 Overwatch. I want to take this moment to thank everyone who has supported me throughout this miniseries and to everyone who has enjoyed it and found it informational. A few of you have actually commented that the series has been something along the lines of School for XCOM. Given that I've been doing these in basically a slideshow format, well, you aren't too far off. As I've mentioned before, I would have loved the chance to get my hands on the preview build of XCOM 2 so that I could demonstrate various aspects of the game, however that was not the case. But being a huge fan of all the XCOM games with a certain smaller degree for the Bureau, I decided that this format was how I was going to do it and how I would contribute to XCOM 2, and quite honestly, I had a lot of fun doing it while at the same time being able to help out with some of my viewers with info on XCOM 2. So I'm on my own for this episode as we only have a few smaller topics to tackle. The topics of this episode will be on DLC, modding, multiplayer, and RP. Without further ado, let's get into it. So XCOM 2 has a few DLC already. These are the Resistance Warrior Pack and the Reinforcement Pack. The Resistance Warrior Pack is a pre-order only exclusive. The pack is mainly a cosmetic DLC containing bonus outfits, headgear, and custom facial war paint. The pack also includes a survivor of the old war as a recruit in your barracks. I'm pretty sure it's just an extra soldier to help you out from the get-go. Perhaps it starts out at a squatty rank, but I'm not so sure about that. However, you can see that the soldier with their boot on the sectoid is wearing old XCOM body armor, so that may be the survivor they are referring to. More customization is always a good thing, given how extensive XCOM 2 is with its soldier customization options. The Reinforcement Pack is, for all intents and purposes, is a season pass for the next free DLC which will be released in the future. The first DLC contained within the Reinforcement Pack is Anarchy's Children, which is a rebellion-themed DLC with more cosmetic customizations for your soldiers. This is slated to be released in the spring of 2016. Like I said before, more customization is always nice. The second DLC in this pack is Alien Hunters, which introduces new soldier customizations and gameplay themed around XCOM as an elite alien hunting unit. It introduces ruler aliens with new and powerful weapons and armor, and a new mission. This is slated to be released in the summer of 2016. I feel like this sort of DLC is very similar to the Slingshot DLC for the last XCOM game. Hopefully the new weapons and armor will be balanced relatively so that the power creep doesn't make the game too easy. The ruler alien could possibly be the Furios from the last game, but like we said in the last episode when we were covering enemies, there hasn't been too much info on these particular aliens. And lastly, we have Shen's Last Gift. It introduces a new soldier class with unique upgradable weapons, armor, and customization features. It also contains a new narrative-driven mission and map. This is slated to be released in the summer of 2016 as well. Knowing Dr. Shen and having a distinct lack of information on the 6th soldier class, I'm gonna go ahead and assume that this is the mech soldier class, or at the very least a more robotics-based armor that is stronger than the currently known EXO armor in XCOM 2. My hope with the DLC is that they will be able to integrate with an ongoing campaign within XCOM 2, unlike its predecessor. The enemy within expansion was understandable that you would need to start a new game in order to have the new mechanics included, but I felt that the Slingshot DLC could have probably been integrated into an ongoing playthrough, rather than have to start a new game just for 3 additional council missions, a new soldier, and of course the early alien tech research. Hopefully it will be similar to DLC missions from games like Mass Effect, where you could have the new content in a current playthrough and choose when you would want to do that mission, whether it was post-game where you had completed everything there was to do, or any time from beginning through the middle. Obviously the DLC from XCOM 2 wouldn't make sense to complete the game and then go back and do the new missions, but rather just having the option to have it included within the campaign without starting over would be great. Anyway, as of January 31st of 2016, XCOM 2 is still up for pre-order and is priced at $59.99 for the standard edition, and the digital deluxe edition, which contains the full base game, the reinforcement pack, and the digital soundtrack. If you pre-order the deluxe edition, you will also receive the Resistance Warrior pack. The deluxe edition is priced at $74.99, or your regional equivalents. For the reinforcement pack as a standalone download is roughly $20, or your regional equivalents. As of now, XCOM 2 will be a PC exclusive release. There's probably a possibility of an eventual console port, but I'm not so sure about that. There are actually quite a lot of people who were exposed to the XCOM games through the console version, and I hope that they will get the chance to play the game as well if they don't have the PC version. Let's move on to the next topic, which is modding. Yes, you heard me right, XCOM 2 will be much more accessible when it comes to modding, as the developers have decided that XCOM 2 will be much better once the modding community gets their hands on the developer kits and tools with access to the same textures, models, scripts, and more that was used to make XCOM 2 itself. I was extremely excited when it was announced that Long War Studios, which contains the Long War mod team, is working alongside Firaxis to make additional content and mods for the game. The hope now is that XCOM 2 will provide a better framework for modding. With Steam Workshop integration and a better modding API in general, the devs believe that the modding community will make the game even better and more accessible compared to its predecessor. Modding back in XCOM Enemy Unknown and Enemy Within was actually quite difficult. The devs have noted that the mods that were made were something along the lines of the results of dark magic, or even scary considering how difficult it was to make the few mods that existed. Most of these mods were on the simple side though, such as minor tweaks with the UI, the existing math within the system, or visual tweaks. The others were mainly customization mods for soldiers, but chief among the XCOM mods was the XCOM Long War mod, which was basically a huge overhaul for the game and made it challenging in every aspect, such as more difficult enemies, fatigue time on your soldiers forcing you to rotate your squads, and so much more. A quick shout out to one of my viewers, Roz, who was kind enough to link me to a video in regards to XCOM 2 modding. The link will be down in the description below if you want to watch the video yourself. Upon release day for XCOM 2, there will be 3 mods already available for us to use, and I'm quite excited to try them. Normally when I get a new game, I like to play through it on vanilla first, just to see what it's like, before I start modding it to death. In this case though, I feel that these mods I would love to use them from the get-go. The first mod from Long War Studios is a weapon mod, which introduces submachine guns for our soldiers to use. Similar to some of the other weapon types from the Long War mod, the SMGs come with a trade-off. The SMG is an alternative to the standard assault rifle and does slightly less damage and has less ammo, but it does mean that the soldier using an SMG is more mobile and harder to detect. I'm going to guess that the SMG modifies the detection radius of the soldier using it. The SMGs are upgradable from conventional ballistics to mag tech and plasma tech. Personally, I love the design of the SMGs, as they do look like as if it was part of the game itself. It does give you the trade-off choices as well, like it may be something I would choose to pursue, like making a scout ranger who uses the mobility to get around quickly, and while they would be doing less damage, it can probably be offset by some of the abilities that are available to them, such as Shadow Strike for more damage while concealed. But, like how I played the Long War mod, I may end up phasing out the SMGs in favor of traditional assault rifles for more damage on tougher enemies, and the fact that hopefully in the late game my soldiers will have better equipment to work with. The second mod is the Mutant Centurion, a new enemy which will show up roughly sometime halfway into the campaign. The Mutant Centurion is basically a bigger, retextured mutant with several additional abilities and acts almost like a squad leader unit for the aliens. Squad leader units back in Long War were basically more powerful versions of the same enemy type, but usually with more health and additional abilities to boost their combat effectiveness. Personally, I love this mod already because I enjoyed the enemy squad leader mechanic back in Long War and how it altered your tactics to think of the best way to combat the enemy. You had to choose between either taking out the squad leader as soon as possible or taking out the pod of aliens that were with it before it could start buffing them. The Mutant Centurion also looks a lot like an armored Krogan from the Mass Effect game, so that alone has me sold on the mod. Anything to make the game more challenging is great to me. Third and last mod for now is a new set of perks, which for now I will refer to as Squad Leader perks. In Enemy Within, it introduced the medal system in which you could award soldiers certain medals with a small perk attached to it. The Long War mod reworked the medal system into an officer system. Instead of having a limit of medals you could award to your soldiers, you now had a limit of officer billets in which you could promote some of your soldiers into officers, which had certain perks to help out the squad. With the new mod, it uses a system similar to training psionics from the last XCOM game, where you train a soldier to take a perk in an officer ability tree to give your squad leader and squad an advantage, depending on the perk you choose for your officer. It should be noted that you can only bring one squad leader on a mission. This in itself feels really natural to the game, as I generally always designate a particular soldier as a squad leader. Plus, I'm not sure if they decided to keep the medal system in XCOM 2, so this is perfect for what I usually do with my squad leaders. Hopefully in the future we will see a Long War 2 mod for XCOM 2, and I can't wait to see what the modding community comes up with. The customization mods alone will be amazing to see, like holiday themed customizations. For example, it's almost Christmas and now your soldiers are running around wearing Santa hats killing aliens. There was also some talk of modding for co-op support, but players would have to provide their own servers. I would love the idea of co-op in XCOM 2, like each player controlling a base of their own, or on the tactical missions where each player is controlling a certain amount of soldiers, or even the possibility of having up to 6 players team up with each other and each one of them controls a soldier separately and would then have to coordinate with the other players on tactics and movements. It would be really interesting to see where the co-op route goes, but we will have to wait to see if it becomes a thing or not. Until then, just more modding support for the game is amazing in itself, and I'm looking forward to all the things that the community will come up with. Speaking of other players, multiplayer for XCOM 2 is making a return. For the most part, there hasn't been too much information on the multiplayer, aside from the fact that it will be largely the same as player versus player, with several set loadouts for soldiers similar to the last game. It is still point based, so you have to use your allotted points unless you're playing unlimited. Advent units and new aliens will also be included, and with the way maps are now procedurally generated, that should somewhat address the issue of limited maps. Hopefully they ironed out other bugs that existed in the previous game multiplayer, such as the game making it impossible to move certain units or getting stuck. Hopefully there's also more options to extend your turn timer, because when you played with unlimited points, things got super crazy and some people don't realize how much time they actually spend. And moving on to the last topic of the video, we reached the RP section. As some of you who have been with my channel from the beginning, you all know that I like to name my XCOM soldiers after my friends and viewers who want to volunteer themselves, and I intend to do the same with XCOM 2 as well. As you can see here, these were my previous squads from my XCOM Enemy Within series, with Alpha Squad up at the top, Bravo on the left, and Charlie to the right. And I'm happy to say that a lot of them have already told me that they would like to be a part of the series again, and there are some changes here and there with Bravo and Charlie squads, like being short on a few members, but I did come up with my own story to go along with the main canon of XCOM 2's story. For the most part though, I've received quite a lot of messages from some of you wanting to be a part of the XCOM 2 Let's Play, and I've received quite a lot of information, such as your names, your nicknames, the backstories of your soldiers, what color you want for your armor and your weapons, your preferred class if I can choose it if possible, and things of that nature. And I intend on including you guys and customizing soldiers as best as I can after some of you. Some of you have volunteered as staff, such as engineers and scientists, as well as VIPs for us to rescue for those who didn't want to be in the combat roles of the XCOM 2 squads. That's perfectly fine. And there were also a few of you who were brave enough to volunteer to be dark VIPs for us to either capture or kill. You guys are great. But if you want to be a part of the XCOM 2 Let's Play in some way, just let me know via message on my Facebook channel page, or if you have me on Steam, you can message me via that, or you could just leave a comment down in the comment section, and I'll make sure to make it happen. This is one of the reasons why I love XCOM so much, because there's so much to it, and the customization alone just makes your soldiers more than just nameless entities. In my case, it's my friends and viewers out there. When someone gets wounded or even killed, it hits me really hard, and I'm just sitting there feeling very terrible about it. But that's the great appeal of XCOM. Since I really get immersed into the game, everything is meaningful, and especially when I'm in character as the commander of XCOM, I'm just sitting there ordering you guys around, possibly leading to your death. I'm on the edge of my seat, hoping that all of you make it back from the mission. So for the whole immersion factor, I want to stay true to the challenge of XCOM, but not get completely destroyed off the bat. So when XCOM 2 gets released, I will be playing on the Commander difficulty, and eventually maybe when XCOM 2 Long War is out, I will attempt a Legend Iron Man run. So that's pretty much it for the XCOM 2 Overwatch miniseries. I had a lot of fun doing this, and I cannot wait to do XCOM 2 when it is released in a few days. Like I said, if all goes well on release day, hopefully I'll have XCOM 2 downloaded and working properly and running decently. I intend to do 2 episodes of XCOM 2 as soon as I can and probably post them on the same day, if not as soon as possible, with one of them as a showcase video for character customization, and the other video will be the start of the series. If everything goes according to plan, this week we'll probably have 6 videos going up on the channel instead of the usual 5, but the following week everything will return to 5 videos per week. But no promises, we all know how release launches can be. I'm also thinking of recording XCOM 2 videos 2 to 3 episodes at a time in a single recording session, and in between sessions I will take input from your comments on the videos, or advice if I'm doing something wrong. The question that remains, however, is will you be one of them? Or will you join us and reclaim our world from the aliens and their puppets? But that is it for this mini-series. Once again, thank you guys so much for all the support and following along. I really hope that you enjoyed this mini-series and found it informational, and I hope you are as excited for XCOM 2 as much as I am. So that's it for XCOM 2 Overwatch. Remember to rate, comment, and subscribe for more. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Join the resistance today. Bye guys.